Hello, everybody. Welcome to Irongeek Cast, number 76, America, Fsck, yeah. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hello, everybody.
Good. Surprisingly good.
Doing well. So celebrating, or the only one celebrating 4th of July in the Netherlands. Yay! By doing
So there's not
homework.
any other like fellow American students that happen to be over there?
No, the only one that I know, or the only few that I know left already to go back to the States and or are traveling Europe, and I'm stuck at work.
Yeah, I had times when I was at school at IU Southeast in Bloomington, Indiana. Not IU Southeast, I'm sorry, IU Bloomington in Bloomington, Indiana, where I was like the only American. Most of my classmates were Indian and Chinese.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm withholding comments about Chinese girls right now.
Probably for the best. All right.
I'm just going to say that Chinese girls are really fucking hot.
Okay. I thought it was going to be worse than that.
Some can be, some aren't. I mean, it is what it is. But then, there's beautiful women everywhere. So why would you withhold comments like that?
That's a good point. I'm sorry. I'm starting to learn to let it all hang loose, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, I can't keep being an uptight anal retentive fucktard for that much longer.
There's a cyanide and happiness short for this, but I will save it for later. Show notes?
Yes.
All right, I will share the first one. Screen share. Boop, 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 boop. Screen sharing now. So Gen 2 GitHub mirror hacked and considered compromised. So essentially what this was is a mirror of Gen 2's build was compromised and had the source code on that mirror changed so that it would have malicious code inside of it, and if you connected and pulled down the build from that mirror, you were then building in malicious code for your Gen 2 system, which is not good.
Well, what's interesting about that, luckily, is so the main Gen 2 system was not compromised. Right. Because I still think they're using CVS. I know they were for a long time back when I was kind of active in that community, but a lot of times when you're I think a lot of it was stage 3 tarballs and portage tarballs. And so what I think happened there is when you were installing Gen 2, if you checked the SHA-512 sum, you would run into issues, except you don't want to blindly check it from one mirror at the SHA-512 sum, say, oh, it's on the same mirror. So I think the moral of the story is check multiple mirrors on the checksums to make sure that it's correct, to prevent something like that from happening again. Because anyone who has a mirror, it can be compromised. And so, I mean, GitHub was one. Now, the cynical answer to that is, oh, it's a big conspiracy by Microsoft to try to mess with Gen 2. Which I kind of hope that's true, because that would be really, really funny.
The real question is, why Gen 2 of all targets? I mean, really? Gen 2?
Gen 2.
Hey, you're talking to someone who runs Gen 2 on every single one of his systems.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but Gen 2 is a very small target, you know?
Well, how do you feel about FreeBSD, my friend?
It's the same damn kind of situation.
Well, a lot of
Why would you fuck with a small market share target if you were Microsoft? Why did you get rid of Linux?
A lot of trading firms use Gen 2, and a lot of people that do very heavy amounts of financial transactions use Gen 2 just because it's the cleanest of all the distros and for convenience. Because even if 5% performance increase by being able to use your processor's entire instruction set, if every single microsecond matters, then that becomes a big deal. So there could have even been a plan to, take over some high-frequency trade systems, because you could very easily pump and dump a stock
Mm.
And all of those firms are using Gentoo. At least the
Well,
last time I.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The NASDAQ runs on Gentoo too.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
But that's what I'm saying.
makes more sense.
Some of them started using Nutanix, which Nutanix is completely stupid. And actually, funny story about Nutanix, we actually found a way to exploit it just by reading one of their patents. And so they actually tried to patent using MAC addresses to log on to systems, which is completely and utterly stupid.
Why? No, okay, no.
It's fun when your competitor does that, because then you get to laugh at them. Oh, you disclosed the way to exploit your systems. Nice going, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
But also too, like you said, like really does it really matter? It doesn't really matter about the distro that you run. It's all I look at it this way: an operating system is only as good as its administrator.
Yeah.
So,
True. Absolutely.
If it's Gentoo, if it's FreeBSD, if it's Windows, I've seen some pretty solid Windows administrators too that can lock a Windows machine down like it's nothing. So
I have, but the one thing with Windows though is one of the reasons you're not seeing as many exploits is because the bounties are so large. I have seen someone recently using a bug in the TCP stack and was able to remotely blue screen a system that had no ports open. So
nice.
Yeah, you can as far as the administrator goes, but if you don't, there's
only so much you can do
to mitigate those problems. But if an operating system is very vulnerable, you're still screwed.
Pretty much, yeah. But I mean, in reality, in essence, all operating systems are vulnerable. It's just that they pick and choose what they want to go after. Like, for example, I use FreeBSD as my desktop, as you can see in the background. Hi. But that doesn't necessarily protect me from everything. You know,
it does.
If somebody really wanted my box, and persistent enough, they could get in, just like with any box. It's no different. Like even when OpenBSD was toting like, hey, only 2 remote holes in the last 10 years, that's because nobody's really looking for OpenBSD.
Yeah, it all kind of depends on your market share as well, or your defined target.
Ports by default, and they have as little running on that as possible.
Right.
So that's the other reason too, is if you're just running random crap, then of course you're more vulnerable. And then if you want to be really stupid, you just run things on Amazon, and then you're already pretty much compromised anyway because you've given root away to the biggest target in the world.
Like, people kill me. They say, yeah, I'm running Ubuntu, and I can really light up an Ubuntu server because all the services that are running by default that people leave running, you could really light up some Ubuntu servers.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the stuff that they have coming out the box that gets installed and starts running is just insane. It's the new Windows. It's the Windows little cousin.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I use Ubuntu in my dev stuff, but it's in a VM. If
Right,
I was going to use anything heavy like that, I would not be using Ubuntu unless it's a quick burner system.
But that's the thing, you know that, and you know if you had to lock it down, you could. But it's just all about being in the know. And some people, they say things, well, I'm not using Windows, I'm using Linux, or I'm using Mac. And it's just like, those operating systems can be hacked as well. There's no safety from that.
Oh, absolutely.
So there was a person at one point I was looking like I was going to date who was she and I didn't work out, by the way, but she and I were talking, and she was going on and on and on about how she used Ubuntu because Windows was listening in on everything you do, and it offered her privacy and all that shit. And I mean, up to a point.
Yeah.
But realistically, given how much that fucking Unity lens was sending all the data up to the cloud that you typed in, given how much fucking monitoring is on Ubuntu, it's like, you actually fucking trust Ubuntu? Are you an idiot?
A lot of idiots out here.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of.
Know
It's a lot of.
the source code and know how everything works.
Yeah.
Not everyone acts on their rights. Just like
Right.
if you're dumb enough to say, "Hey, government, search my house," you still have the right against unreasonable search and seizure, but you can give that up very quickly by not caring. And that's what a lot of Ubuntu users do. Is they're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm using it, so I'm safe and it's not doing anything bad." No. Canonical is making a lot of money, and if you're not paying them, you're the product. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, a lot of idiots out there and puppy pen testers.
But here's what bugs me the most of the oh my god, I'm secure type people is the oh yeah, we secure your cloud resources. Like, that's an oxymoron. That doesn't make sense. You've given up root to someone else and you're securing it?
So wait a second.
Trust me.
I actually used to work for a firm like that. And let me tell you something about firms like that. All it takes is one rogue VP with engineering access. And if the platform, say, allows employees of the company running the security stuff to add users to monitor the AWS shit, which then has write access to AWS, just saying.
And just like when you're hosting your code on GitHub, if by accident you could uncheck a box or with Dropbox and make it public, that's human errors are possible. If you make it so those human errors are a lot less likely to hurt you, it's so much better. But then on top of that, I am very certain that there are attackers embedded themselves inside Amazon, inside Google, inside Microsoft, and they just practice really good OPSEC because they're probably the Chinese government. There's a reason that we don't use Google Docs for patent apps. And I was doing a patent app on Etherpad the other day, as painful as it was, because all the Chinese have to do, or the Russians, or whichever country that doesn't respect IP laws. I know China's gotten a lot better, but all they have to do is look for as disclosed as use herein, claimed, and then, oh, that's a patent app. Cool, Google Docs. Let me grab that and make that exact product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let Jack speak.
Well, there's a term for that. It's called insider threats. But I mean,
There's even more of an insider because if you're the PRC, where are you going to embed yourself? AWS, Google, Azure.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I would actually add an additional one to that list. Oracle.
What's that?
Oracle.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and if someone wants to help right now, sadly, I don't have time, but I really wanted to write some tools for, even though we know in theory it's super easy to compromise VMs from a host, my guess is in a lot of those cloud systems, if they're smart, they will check for any writing to the disks. So finding an in-memory shell, writing some in-memory shell code for a hypervisor breakout that starts scraping memory from the VMs and then possibly uploading everything through the internet-facing interface on those hosts as a demo, just to show people, yes, your cloud instances are fucked by the beginning. Just, you're done already. You've given it all up.
And what's also interesting about that is you might, in theory, what that might also be able to have the same behavior towards would be the Docker instances, although I have no real facts to back that up. But that sounds like something from my own research, something that could be very possible with
Dockers are,
AWS.
well, at least at first they were just Linux containers. You're sharing the same kernel. With LXC for a while, root in a guest was root on the host.
Right. Which I think at this point, and I've been messing around with Docker, and I was trying to figure out how to. I was just trying to set up and move like my virtual machine of Kali Linux over to Docker and configure it out that way. When I made it so that it would be root, and because in Kali you need to be running a lot of the things as root, and I noticed something. It said root at default, and I'm using the quick start thing. So it's actually a Linux VM that's running all of my Docker instances. And
Yeah, Moby Linux.
Yeah, Moby Linux, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's still, so root on the container was root on the host, because it right there it would say root at default, which default is the name of the VM host.
Mm-hmm.
So that is still prevalent today. I'm at least
Yeah, I'm
in
just making
the,
sure that if it's a Kali VM, isn't default isn't? Oh, I guess I don't know Docker too well, because I was just wondering if
if you don't,
host name on Kali.
Yeah. So if you don't have Windows Pro or hypervisor enabled or a Linux distribution, what you need to do to use Docker is you need to use what is their Docker Quick Start, which creates a virtual box inside, or it creates a virtual box with Moby Linux, which is their kind of weird distribution of Linux. To just run Docker containers, and you can open up a terminal from your host OS, and you can just start interacting with that Docker machine, which is just a virtual machine. That by default, when you first create it, is named default. So when I was saying when I installed Kali and was running as root, it was saying root at default. It wasn't saying root at some weird hash for a container. It was actually running as root on the virtual machine Moby Linux itself. So it was sharing that same kernel.
I know somebody who works at Docker. I'll ask them about that.
That would actually be super nice.
Cool.
And let me know how that is, because I'm doing a undergrad thesis on Docker and InfoSec.
It really helps when you're related to the guy. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's nice. Anyway, we've gone on long enough about different OSs and stuff to use, and also maybe some Microsoft conspiracy theories towards Gen 2. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we?
Use Gen 2.
All right. Adidas.
Goes in the water to make Gen 2 gay.
What? We'll get to that later.
About Gen 2. I have about
True love is never wrong.
Gen 2 right now.
Is, very about, what is it? They're putting chemicals in the water that make frogs gay. And the guy actually looked into that, and that's not true, and it's not on purpose. But there are also chemicals you can put in water that can make a frog switch genders, depending on the type of frog.
You know?
It's good to be clear that we're using gender as a term for sexual orientation.
Well, no, because gender and sexual orientation are two different things.
Or yeah, well, sorry, excuse me. Like their genital, are their genitals actually changing, or?
Yes. Actually, and my understanding, they could actually reproduce.
Whoa, okay.
I'll look at the video to send you in the chat. But yeah, someone did some research into it. Like, well, yeah, the sun breeds a frog. If you put the right chemicals in the water, you can.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's a evolutionary trait. So, for example, like if a frog is in an area with a bunch of males, in order to keep that species going, they will switch genders to keep the population numbers up.
What the hell did I walk into? I just went to get a research.
What? You guys don't remember that shit from Jurassic Park?
I was trying to talk about Adidas, but you know.
So, I went to get a Reese's peanut butter cup, and I'll come back, and here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to say this right now. I have a couple of contacts, well, frankly, friends who are trans, and you know what they told me about the trans agenda?
Yeah.
The trans agenda is literally to turn the frogs trans, be trans, and sit on the couch trans.
I got a question. So, with your friends, what is life like as a trans? Is it pretty hard to get dates and stuff like that, or?
I could ask them.
I don't want to get into that because I'll
let's circle back here real quick.
Yeah, let's go to Adidas.
Yeah, so
How goes once again strikes again to make the conversation awkward as hell.
Go back in your corner for like 5 minutes, Allie.
Never! You will never put me in the corner!
All right. Adidas warns U.S. customers of new data breach. Multinational athletic apparel company Adidas is the latest corporate titan to have a data breach. Woohoo! Not woohoo. Exposed data.
You know Nike's laughing their ass off.
Yeah, but watch, they'll be next week's.
Yeah.
Exposed data includes encrypted passwords, username, and contact information. No numbers are within the article, and this is also a very short article, as the story is developing as of, let me look real quick here, 28th. That was last week exactly.
So you said you're talking about Adidas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning all day I dream about is sex.
No, it's I'll dream my day. I dream about soccer, I think is. Yeah.
No, it's sex.
Okay.
Multiple interpretations are valid. So
They are.
maybe if more things come up, I'll probably take a look at this for Israel next week to see if anything more develops and we get some numbers. The next one that we have has a very large number of records that were lost. Personal information of 340 million people and businesses leaked by Florida marketing firm. 340 million. This small firm in Florida called Exactus. I hope that's the right. Yeah, that should be right. Left 340 million individual records on a publicly accessible server that any person could have gotten a hold of. That's kind of a general statement, but I'm wondering how they got a hold of it. Is it just like sitting out there and you go open it and you just like Google dork the thing?
What's funny is a lot of people have data kept on them against their consent, and then when it gets breached, like Equifax's stock went up. And because there's no real way to have any statutory damages for people's data. I mean, I know with GDPR, they're all going like, oh, let's heavily regulate everyone, figure out what data they can be kept. But the scarier thing is people stealing data. I don't know if there's a way to make it so that it's easier for people who mishandle data to be punished properly. Because I know for a while, it's like, Zombie, it's the hackers that are the problem. But it's really people being
but it's something I can't say on the cast.
Okay, well.
Yep, I think there's some ways that we can't really talk on the cast, but in the.
But
that's okay. That's okay, Motoko. I won't use you yet.
So, to explain what kind of data was lost, excuse me. Those records contain a variety of data points, including phone numbers, home addresses, emails connected to the individual's name. It also included more than 400 characteristics about a person, ranging if they had kids, their age, gender, etc. And also interests like scuba diving and plus size apparel.
God.
Marketing firms storing all of the data, including your hobbies.
So you know what SOB would say to that if he was here? Because he would always tell me, he's like, brother, that's why we drink. So that's what he would say to that.
This has to be my favorite part of the article. Notably, financial information and security number or social security numbers were not discovered in the database. Don't worry, all that information was likely already exposed by Equifax last year. So. Good point bringing up Equifax again.
As I say again, that's why we drink. This guy would say.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I am legitimately tempted to leave InfoSec because I just don't see a way to make a difference anymore.
Man, you know what's crazy? Howie, you must have been in my mind today. I was just having this conversation with like 3 of my friends. They were just talking about how InfoSec is now, and it's just kind of hard to be heard. in InfoSec, and they're looking at other options.
I'll be real with you about this. It looks like I'm hopefully going to be getting a job soon at Redacted. I mean, if I have a good experience there, I'm probably going to stay in InfoSec and try and find better venues to do good. But after my last two experiences and after the experience before that with certain people, it's like, I mean, like, it's like the industry keeps doing everything it can to kick me out, you know?
But you know what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I mean, like, I keep wanting to do good. I keep wanting to protect people and help people and all that shit. All right. But we see all this shit constantly happening. I mean, we have like 7 breaches a week. Right?
Yep.
And then you have these consultants who go around fucking around and doing all this shit. And we got like insider threats at security companies elsewhere. And we got insider threats at other companies. And it's like, what can I actually do to actually make a difference to help protect these people? It's like, it's why I drink. It's fucking depressing, man.
If you approach it from a I'm trying to save the world perspective, it's not going to happen.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie. I've had days where I felt like I was Steve McCroskey, and it's like I chose the wrong day to quit sniffing glue.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You got a Jesus Christ. You got a JC out of there, man.
That is fantastic.
Computer blue.
I'm not looking to save the world. I'm just looking to clean up my small corner of it. But the problem is, every time I try and do anything useful, someone always comes after me and tries to fuck me up. And usually it's an employer or a potential employer.
You know what's something, and it may be similar to what you go through, and maybe not. But I've always, and with a lot of companies, like I've never really been taken too seriously. One, it's always been an issue where if it's either my age or my personality, again, like you'd be surprised how many people don't like happy people. They just don't, and they don't really value your opinion. So when you're trying to say something that helps, or in general,
hands,
or you're too happy, or it's just like you're changing the morale. And some people, people that's been there a long time, they like the way their coffee is every day. They don't like if they didn't like cream before and you come in trying to give them cream, they will try to get rid of you. And it's always a fight. So yeah, it's a struggle, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, but what keeps me going is the fact that I don't have to fit in. I don't have to save the world. The world doesn't need saving. I just, why can't I just have fun and just be happy with tech in general? Is there going to be breaches? There's always been breaches. And even since the beginning, it's been more horrific breaches than we're seeing now, because back then you didn't have all these consultants running around trying to fix stuff and all this everything. If it got breached, it got breached, and that was just it. And people got arrested or they went to jail, but then you didn't hear no more about it. You didn't hear consultants and people doing red teaming and purple teaming. You didn't have all of that stuff. So just to see all that stuff now, I mean, personally, man, I like what you're doing.
Back and people aren't being hurt as much. But from what I had heard, even when I was just starting doing some red team stuff, I had older people, like friends and family, saying, surprised that that's even a thing, saying, wait, is that even legal? I'm like, what do you mean it's legal? You're working on your own machines. It's just attack simulations. It's pen testing. But to some people, it was such a scary concept because
my mother was in that exact situation. She was looking at me reversing shit and looking at me, practicing on my own boxes, and she was scared shitless that I would get arrested.
Right. It's people. So it's, in some ways it's gotten better, but then also in some ways I think there's a jealousy too, because we were in front of our computers, playing around with stuff, learning, doing a bunch of research. And once everyone started wanting to pay people who know how this all works, it was like, wait, why aren't you paying me too? It doesn't matter that I wasn't sitting in my basement or sitting in my garage doing a bunch of research. And that's, I think that happens a lot. And it's not just in the security world. I mean, that's why in some places in the Valley, like people who, when I'm out there, the people who aren't just sitting at the big companies and doing and just following along with people actually starting things, it's in addition to InfoSec, those are the coolest people, I think, because you're trying to fix something, you see a problem and you want to fix it. I think it also would be cool if a lot more people in the security world went off on their own and started their own firms.
You know what?
How many boutique pen testing companies and consulting companies can be, though?
That's what I'm saying, Adrian. You hit the nail on it. I'm just saying, how many are we gonna have where it's like, I mean, we can only do but so many different renditions of Fsck. This Fsck company, this security company, Fsck. You know?
I think a better solution to that would be looking to those who are in IT but not studying InfoSec. Like, I'm not totally InfoSec myself, and just encourage the mentality of fixing shit rather than just, do your job and move on. Start with a good base to begin with, because if everyone pitches in, you don't need the people in InfoSec. Just like, if things work, you don't need the sysadmins on there bailing out 24/7. If you get the good code right the first time, you don't need a legion of developers to keep rebuilding it because you built broken shit. So I think just encouraging that across the whole community is better, not selling InfoSec, but just IT in general.
And I agree with that, Darren. And that was kind of when I was starting up the student or the security team at my student-run company. That was going to be my unique selling point. We had a development team and a sysadmin on staff. So what I was going to do was, if I got any clients, which I left the country to go study abroad before I got any clients. But when we were going to get clients, I was going to do a pen test on them or a vulnerability assessment or what have you, and then connect them with us again to see, okay, so you have these vulnerabilities and you have these systems that you need to have fixed, and if you want to fix them and with us as well, we have those services that we can provide. So it was kind of like a win-win for us. We were going to keep getting, it was a marketing win for us, and it was also a win for the client, because then they were at a resource where they would have developers on staff and ready for them to just go into their system and fix stuff.
We're even going to know it's kind of a selling my soul thing in a way, hopefully not. But at one point, I was even considering finding some friends of mine who have some pen test firms after we raise a little more money, offering some free pen tests and saying, hey, how to get free pen tests.
And
trying to figure out a way to do that. I don't know if it's practical. It was just an interesting thought. So I found a few people interested in using our stuff just by saying, hey, your email is misconfigured. What do you mean? Well, I don't see any SPF and DKIM record. And they say, well, what could I do? I was like, do you mind me showing how I could forge your email? And usually people are receptive. Like, holy crap, I didn't even know that worked. Like, yeah, it's a 30-year-old protocol. There is nothing built in for identity checking unless you put that in. It is optional. We set up Microsoft Exchange for you company might not care about your DNS settings and say, hey, there's an optional, we'll fix your DNS. Oh, well, I don't have access to my Namecheap or my network account. Oh, let's just leave it. Do that all the time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like last night, I stayed up pretty late. I did. You're probably gonna laugh. I was listening to on repeat. Kelly Clarkson's was Already Gone, and just sipping water and just thinking like, hey, because now it's like to the point I don't even want to get. I'm to the point now I'm unmotivated to get any certifications anymore.
Why do you feel unmotivated?
Well, I don't know, man. It's just like I just got this eerie feeling I don't know. It's just like maybe it's my environment. Like right now, what's happening? We did another reorg, right, at work, and we lost some good people. And I'm a person like this. I don't, and maybe that's why I don't work in a lot of places. Is like I care more about people than I do maybe the business side. Like when we have good people and when you work with good people and you see them like lose their job or whatnot, it bothers me personally. You know,
How are they losing their job? If you don't mind saying, I'm just curious because I don't know all the
well,
details. I don't know what you can say on the.
well, they only said they only said that they were they just said they were let go because the email came out that today that day was their last day or whatever, and they didn't really go into details or whatever. They would just say they were just let go by the company. They came in one day and the guy, their supervisor, asked for their laptop back right then. They didn't even let them get to their desk.
Well, I mean that downsizing does happen. I mean,
it does.
There's a company that my girlfriend works. My girlfriend used to work for until she moved somewhere else, but they were taken over by a larger firm, and that firm was like, this was on a Monday. First day they took over, it was like nothing's going to change. Tuesday they let go of 3/4 of the staff.
Mm-hmm. So that's and that's what I'm saying. It's just like for me in general, like, and I know most people like, why did you care? It's not, at least it's not you, but I just literally just care about other people, So when other people, when stuff happens, it gets to me a little bit, and sometimes I just wonder, like, damn, like, is this industry, is this all what it's? I know you need money. I know you need money to survive and do what you need to do. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah.
In a way, is this? So I was just thinking. I'm like, well, and that's when I was having conversations like that. Is this what InfoSec? And then I looked at my Twitter timeline, and 90% of my Twitter, here's the main thing on Twitter, and this is most InfoSec people. My thoughts are my own, and it does not reflect my company.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that too.
But I'm just saying how many. It's amazing. They're just looking at how many people are doing that, like, or just saying like the same thing, and it's just like it's nothing like different. How many cross-site scripting vulnerabilities are you going to find the same way? How many exploits are we going to be able to do at the push of a button? Like just simple stuff. And again, and if anybody's listened to the cast and heard me before, I pine for the older days, even though we didn't have the technology that we had now. But techies actually cared about tech. They really put their heart and soul into it. It wasn't a corporate business decision for them. It was just something that they really got into. I miss those old computer shops because those guys actually knew PC hardware. We don't have that many people like that anymore.
Sure you do. You just got to know where to look.
And actually, with hardware, was kind of interesting is to actually get figure out what's going on with BIOS settings and other things, because with our platform, we're all hardware. So all the hardware companies right now, just to deal with them, I pretty much had to start learning Mandarin just to talk with them. After learning some and then hiring someone who knew that area very well, it helps. Places to look. There are a lot of niche server system integrators, and they're all great people. They'll make desktops too and all sorts of good stuff. But if you're just buying a laptop or a desktop, the problem is it doesn't scale to have the mom and pop shops building stuff right now, unfortunately. The server market a little bit, because people actually sometimes care about that, and the margins are a bit higher. Nobody's going to spend $4,000 to $5,000 on their desktop, but that's every few weeks for what we're doing. It's like, oh yeah, another server.
Yep, and that's the thing that keeps me sane around here is called Micro Center. Like, I go to Micro Center because
where do you live?
I live in Centerville.
Okay.
I live in Centerville, Northern Virginia. And
Well, yeah, we got a micro center too. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean that's where I built my last PC. From there, I built my last PC using with Micro Center. Even though I can go the Amazon route and order the parts, but sometimes you just want to support that local store because
Charles,
Micro Center is great because they respect technologists. They understand what you're talking about. I wish I could do more stuff through them. The only reason I can't is they're more consumer focused, and I don't really have that many consumer machines aside from a laptop. Is most of them even our desktops or server hardware just easier, and so but we've gone there. I go there whenever I can and try to buy stuff because it's an awesome place, and I wish there was more of them. I think there are because I know there were when Ryzen processors came out. Micro Centers were primarily where all the AMD fanboys were camping out, including two of my guys were right outside the Micro Center just to buy Ryzens before they could even find a board.
Well, I have a Ryzen chip in my box, a Ryzen 5 1600X.
Nice.
The Zen processors are the best CPUs I've ever had. I just recently got a server a month ago with a dual Epic, and it's the greatest thing ever.
6-core, 12 threads. I mean, when I was compiling my because I compile everything under BSD. When I was compiling my Firefox browser, oh my God, it just looked beautiful. Everything just whizzing across the screen. I was just like, oh.
Now, Charles, this is something I've seen you talk about here. You're a person who's very dedicated. You're very much a nose to the grindstone kind of guy. When you set your mind on something, you want to do it, and that's a good quality to have. And what I'm going to say, it sounds a little zen, maybe a little corny, but this is something it's not good for long term. Life is about the journey, not the destination. And you're very focused on getting things and getting knowledge, which is a good thing. But you need to stop every so often and take time for yourself. Get hobbies that are outside of technology. I mean, building your computers and things like that. I do that as well for gaming. That's a good thing. But break away from IT. Don't turn it into a life obsession that destroys you, because eventually one day you're going to look at it and you're just going to go, what the fuck have I done with my life? This is all sickening to me, and run away.
You know what? I'm gonna definitely take that in consideration. Cause that's what I'm saying. I'm actually going on vacation this week coming up to Tennessee. I haven't been to Tennessee in a while, so I'm starting to do more stuff like that because that's the thing. Because mostly I'm online, and if I'm doing something, I'll post a little fun meme and just have fun with it. But then, like you said, after a while, you got to do something outside of that. I'm looking at like I said, looking into healthy eats. Healthy eats is just more like just healthy cooking. So I'm just trying different recipes that I find online on cookbook blogs.
Yep. Find a hobby. It's cooking, camping, model cars. I mean, shooting. Mechanical work. There's all kinds of stuff you could do that's outside of computers that keeps you balanced. It really does, and that's something that some people in IT forget is balance is necessary. Yeah, it's great to show you're dedicated and learn so much, but eventually you're just gonna go, "Fuck, I hate this. It's consuming my life."
I definitely don't want to feel that way. I know once I feel that way, I'll just leave.
Yeah.
I know that's what would happen.
I've met so many people that happens to them. I remember a few years ago, I met a guy who ran a coffee shop. I was getting some coffee work done, and I told him what I did, and he was like, "Oh, I used to do that too." And I was like, "Why did you quit?" And he was like, "Dude, I couldn't handle it anymore. It was stressful." And I was like, "I understand." So,
I know your pain.
So, I mean, similar thing, and I wish I need to get some of my hobbies back, but been doing the whole startup thing for the last 2.5 years. Haven't really found time to play the piano, haven't found time to fly planes. And then I was at the point where even though I've been putting my heart and soul into this, I was just getting really tired. Patent apps kind of drained me too. So, sister just finished med school. So
I'll be right back, beer.
Sounds like
for a few weeks. I'm like, I'm coming with you. I don't care. I'm going. I gotta, but it was possibly one of the greatest things they did. Just the 2 weeks of trying not to do as much work. Hang out with the elephants. So you do that. Go buy random crap in Burma. It was so nice to be off on a different time zone. Even though I told the guys, okay.
Yeah, and that's
I might yell at you at first, but you always call me. Luckily, no one did, and it wasn't the end of the world. It was the greatest feeling ever coming back. Like, wait, there is more to life than just the daily routine.
It really is. Because I felt so good. Like last night, like I said, I felt so good. And literally, I laid on the floor just listening to Already Gone with my headphones going and, sipping water.
That's way less embarrassing than listening to bad Chinese music, which I kind of had forced myself to do to try to improve my vocabulary. The only problem is I was looking at the character subtitles, and now I can pronounce characters I don't know the meaning of, and some words can translate from Cantonese and Mandarin and not know what the hell they are in English. So completely useless. Worth a try, though.
Because it makes you, it's just crazy because it's amazing how music just like sets your tone. Like Adele records, I can't listen to Adele records, but I gotta listen to it once in a while. Like
God, yeah, those are the most annoying and depressing. I'm like, come on,
bro. When she came out with A Million Years Ago, and even my wife was like, "What the hell are you saying? Are you okay?" Because I was like, I know I'm not the only one who regrets what they've done. Sometimes I feel like it's only me. Can't stand the reflection that they see. My wife was like, do I need to call counseling? What's going on? I'm like, no. I was just singing a song. She said, well, stop singing that one, please. What made it?
I think he was more of a Luther Vandross kind of guy, but
Charles, your wife is a treasure. That is amazing.
Yeah. But see, there's my balance too.
For DerbyCon next year, that would be awesome.
But here's what's fun about that. She keeps me balanced and sane because I'd probably be off on a tangent. That's what makes it. Yeah, I would be off on a tangent. I know this. Some people, and I was one of those guys that needed to get married.
Speaking of tangents, let's get off of this tangent back to the show.
Oh yeah, let's get to the show notes. Let's go.
Wait, what about getting married?
We'll talk about that.
I actually saw something very important about getting married today.
You know what? We're gonna put that in the Tran and the Fet Life box later on. Okay.
Hang on. This is serious. Let me finish.
Okay.
In the latest issue of Batman, Catwoman leaves Batman on the altar when they were supposed to get married. She breaks up with him at the altar because a happy Batman can't be Batman.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the weirder storylines. Anyway, Superion's click-to-go breaches affected thousands of municipal customers across several states.
Great face.
The breach so far has affected customers in at least 9 municipalities spanning in California, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, and Wisconsin and Florida. That is very bad grammar. The breach is yet another example of cybercriminals attacking the local hanging fruit that many local governments with a lack of resources and proper security measures. All right, so local governments breached again. That's fun. And this looks like it's I think Click2Gov is a application that local governments use. Click2Gov. Let's look what that is. It is a utility billing application. Damn. So that's a thing. So any of I'm just going to pull this up here real quick. I'll just throw this up on screen. Although this is an actual. I think this is an actual company, and I'm not sure if we should be looking at this.
Hi, Charles. Hi, Charles. Charles clicked the gov. Hey.
City of Lake Charles Water Billing Division. This service offers up-to-date online views of customers' water accounts while also providing several convenient payment options. So this could. Oh, I'm glad I looked into this because I don't think this article goes into what data was actually breached. So potentially, since the article doesn't go into this would be billing information, which can include first name, last name, basically just PII and financial information, possibly. Which is not good. So if you are listening to the podcast in California, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, Wisconsin, or Florida, may want to take a look at your local government's utility firm, see if they're using this, and see if you can secure down or lock down your utility stuff.
Yeah, lock down your stuff.
And here's something that's interesting. When it's a local stuff like this, I was in there's an intake meeting that I had with a local government local government entity who I will not disclose the actual name other than it was a local government. When I was talking to them about the different things that we could do for them and also some of the things that they wanted, they were wanting to get there was some new compliance that they needed to have for federal law enforcement or for law enforcement stuff like that. They needed to have some sort of I'm forgetting what the compliancy acronym was.
Let's just call it FEMA, because your appointment to FEMA will be done within a week.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the thing about governments is that they love acronyms.
Yeah, that is true. But what's interesting is during that intake, I was posing questions that were actually scaring them a little bit. Like I started talking about, I was just going through like all the options that we could do, and I was like, oh, we hit Wi-Fi hacking, and I was like, oh yeah, like we could do like a small. Well, we could do a Wi-Fi penetration test to see if we can get into your network and then scan if we get into your network and see what we can poke around at and see if there's something there that shouldn't be there and show that to you guys. And they looked at each other and they're like, yeah, nothing should be there. And they looked at each other again and they're like, wait, hang on. Do we actually know that? So the lack of resource, I'm just trying to drive home the lack of resources is very prevalent in local governments all across the country.
Well, of course. I mean,
yeah. Go for it, Jack.
Well, even though I live in a somewhat medium-sized metro area, the resources that a local government is going to have is very limited. And that's why they outsource as much as they can and can get away with.
Right.
You can't expect every municipality to roll their own billing. I mean, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, and that's understandable. Yeah. So just driving that point home. I wasn't saying that they don't outsource or anything like that, because that for sure happens, as you've now said.
True.
Alrighty, so now that our water bills are in jeopardy.
Right, yes. What else is in jeopardy? Talk to me. Talk that talk.
You know that concert that you want to go to? The bank says Ticketmaster knew of a breach months before taking action. So Ticketmaster is now in a breach report.
Well, Ticketmaster UK. How about that?
Ticketmaster UK. Ticketmaster UK announced on its site yesterday that it identified malicious malware on June 23rd that had affected nearly 5% of their customers, allowing an unknown third-party access to customers' names, email address, telephone numbers, payment details, and login information. So that would, I would assume, mean passwords. Hopefully it was only usernames, but when it just says blanket login information, I'm going to assume username and passwords between February 2017 and June 23rd. Holy crap, that's more than a year and a half. or just about a year and a half that they haven't disclosed this, or that they haven't found it. They either found it, I wonder if they disclosed it, or when they found it, if they disclosed the this seems nope, they're not showing the disclosure date.
You could assume that it's going to be the last date available, which is June 23rd.
Yeah, actually, here we go. So from this breach, Ticketmaster is in an awkward position because under the 2018 General Data Protections Regulations, GDPR, which is under the which is now blanketed the European Union, which the UK is still technically a part of it. They're on their way out. It's just paperwork and BS with that. Companies are required to report information of a breach within 72 hours, not 76 days. Which, all right, like, I have a question on GDPR, specifically for this requirement. This doesn't seem feasible to me to both bring up and figure out how the breach happened, or figure out the breach, close off the breach, and also convey it to your customers within 72 hours. Prove me wrong if I'm wrong.
Probably not, but it might have them acting a little bit more like quickly and stuff like that in order to resolve it. I would imagine. I don't know.
I mean, I think maybe it comes down to the fact of, hey, you got 3 days to disclose this. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're talking 3 working days or 3 days, 3 calendar days.
I think it's 3 calendar days, because it's saying within 72 hours here. So that is not saying 3 business days or 3. It's not saying 3 business days. So I would assume 3 calendar days, which is nuts. And that is to just report, according to this article. I haven't reviewed GDPR enough to have a firm grasp on it yet. But yeah, that's interesting. So this means that if you have gone to a concert or an event using Ticketmaster, maybe you should check your passwords up. Actually, no, I'm not going to say maybe. Do change your passwords up and probably remove any existing payment information. And also, what's the other thing? And also check with your credit card companies or anything else payment related to see if there's any any malicious activity going on in your payment details. All right. Does anyone else have any notes on going once, going twice?
Sold.
Cool. Moving on. Hundreds of hotels affected by data breach at hotel booking software provider. I actually didn't get enough time to read over this one, so I'm just going to do a quick skim of it now. But apparently this Fsck software that is used by hotels booking and putting in personal details and card information was breached. So more again. Let me confirm here. So these are all isn't that are here are for hotels themselves. So they actually haven't given out a numbers yet, and they're also explaining from this that you should be if you stayed at a hotel that was hit by this, watch for breach notifications. So that's fun. Seems like breach reports seem like a guide towards getting breached while on vacation or about ready to leave for vacation.
Yes.
Like you're going and getting your shoes at new kicks at Adidas, then you're going to I don't know. There's a marketing firm that was marketing to you this new vacation, and then before you left, and then you grab your tickets at Ticketmaster to go see a concert while you're at vacation, and then in the hotel. There's all right. Have anything on this one? Nope. Twice. All right. This
I
one
think
was.
All right. What's the next topic that you're going on to?
Was that Greg?
What's the next topic that you're going on to? I was gonna do increasing your network security. Hello?
Masks keep dots to keep whistleblowers safe.
Okay.
So
I posted this one on there. So for those who may not remember, there was a NSA whistleblower named Realty Winner back in I think 2016. She leaked some documents that talked about Russian meddling in the being 2017, excuse me, about Russian meddling in the election kind of thing. I know, Jack. That's what she thought there was something with that. But they identified her based upon fingerprinting of the documents. Basically, the printer left tiny marks on the papers that said, "Oh yeah, this is the printer it came from." So with that information, they were able to figure out who printed what from where. In this app, it's called DITA, or what was it? Dot extraction, decoding, anonymization. Basically, will mask the dots to effectively turn them untrackable based upon, instead of saying, 3 dots and 2, it'll just be a grid. So you won't know what printer it came from.
So many years ago, I was planning on going to work on some stuff before it blew up in my face, and that's a story for another day off air. The short version is there's a lot of interesting anonymization tech.
Mm-hmm.
As much as people want to bitch about Hope complying with SJWs and all that shit, because frankly they're assholes for doing that. Sorry, I just drank beer and it went down the wrong pipe. Essentially, if there are 2 places you want to go to get in with the anonymity crowd and with groups like that, Hope and Chaos Communication Congress.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 places.
Right. And that's actually why I came out of a university in Dresden. So there's probably some link there to CCC.
I guarantee you it was a CCC op that did that if it came out of Dresden.
Right. So it's basically a way to further anonymize things like that, which is a good thing in some ways.
Well, in reality, Winner's case, fucking dumb bitch. Fuck her. But no,
I'm just using her as a reference of this is how the technology came to light, kind of thing. I'm not saying good or bad about her.
Yeah, Reality Winner was a dumbass.
But here's how she was caught. One, they took a Xerox of what she had sent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they looked at the Xerox and realized, hey, this came from our secure side, and the way that she got it out. And if you look here, you could tell where it was kind of folded, and she might have put it in her pocket. And so that changed everything on how secure documents were handled.
Right.
I'm not gonna say what countermeasures were taken, but let's just say let's just say you have to go through a search.
Right. Well, this is more than just, secure documents from a government facility. This could be secure documents from a corporation or things like that too, where anything that has, because almost any printer nowadays has some kind of fingerprinting on it. And this turns that fingerprint into basically a smear. It tells you nothing about where it came from, other than it came from a printer, maybe.
Yeah, and then they looked at the file and realized that she was one of the few that accessed it.
Right.
And so, like, she was dead to rights.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this really. Yeah, I was going to bring up access logs as well, because that kind of negates. Like, okay, cool. Having this on your printer and having it anonymize you is great, and I wouldn't want my printer knowing what I've printed, in case someone, like, say I have. And this is good, not even just for whistleblowers, but for general public as well. Say if you have to take a copy of like a birth certificate or your social security number. Before I left for copy basically all of my personal documents to send over to the immigration office, or I was going through here, and for them to have. And if there was a way, let's say my printer knows I did XYZ document, and XYZ document was actually my social security number or social security card, that might be interesting, especially if there's any sort of cache on that printer that could be accessed remotely. But yeah, good all around, in my opinion, not just for whistleblowers.
It's a form of anonymization, which is a good thing, because it does improve OPSEC. If someone wants to print out a bunch of, quote, contraband literature, end quote, then they can do this without, being tracked down. Oh, with the prints that came from a Ricoh XYZ printer. Well, you don't know what printer it came from now. Good job.
Nice. Cool find.
Yep.
I accidentally skipped over one of the show notes.
Increasing.
So going back one show note, we
by the way,
have.
Hold on a second. If anybody wants some Rico 7 firmwares to try to reverse engineer, I'm trying to figure out how the hell they store passwords. Because I've come to a lot of Rico 7s that have ADS credentials set in them, and they have no password. I can get into them, but I'm not sure how they store passwords when you save them out to a save file. Even if I can set the password, I haven't figured it out yet. So if anybody wants any Rico 7 firmwares, let me know, and I can link you off to some.
Nice.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, cool. So backtracking a little bit in the show notes, we have increasing your network security.
Yeah. Sorry, that was just something that I posted. I just wanted to, I guess, share a story. This is more so for like the people that are beginners that are listening to the cast on YouTube. But somebody came over to the house this past week, and all of a sudden, I was connected to the internet. My connection dropped to 0. I tried pinging. My pings were timing out. So I didn't know. So there was like an unknown person in the house, and they were connected to the Wi-Fi. And I didn't segment the Wi-Fi into like a guest and then like a personal Wi-Fi. So they were just directly connected. So I just wanted to suggest, like, it's really cheap to just go out and get like a router from like Craigslist or something, and then like install some open source router operating system onto it, and then you can have like it'll just like make you can have like firewalls and all different types of stuff, and also even easier than that, you could just segment your network into like a guest account and then your own account, and just to add a layer of security so that people won't. It'll be more difficult for a person to get your stuff and cause problems and stuff like that on your network.
Yeah, I've had a couple. My my friend and I were discussing this because we were looking at all the routers that were on Facebook, or not Facebook, on Craigslist, and we were thinking of grabbing one and for a wireless pen test lab that we were going to give to a bunch of students. And we got all the routers, and we were like, oh, they reset it to default creds. That's nice. And then we started thinking, it's like, how many of them do you think are still like being sold and people will get them? Because if you think about who shops on Craigslist for routers, not many of those guys or girls are going to be highly technical people. So they may not even change the password then. So we did we hypothetically did a little bit of digging and found that there were a bunch of routers in our area that were just using default credentials and or really, really weak passwords.
It's crazy, seriously. And then like with even like WordPress connected accounts and stuff like that, you just like do /WP admin, and it's insane. Like how many easy fixes there are for security vulnerabilities that people just don't do. It's like what is it, convenience over security type stuff.
So, as a kind of extension of this, does anyone have any thoughts on like just like basic guidelines to give to our audience of beginners and even experienced professionals as well, on like how would you recommend for people to secure themselves? We kind of discussed already just getting firewalls and stuff set up inside your network, segmenting off your network. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add?
Honestly, that's kind of probably beyond the scope for most beginner people. Aside from just doing basic firewalls on your router, which most routers come with one. And if you need to put one on your computer too, usually most modern antivirus suites have those as well. Avast, AVG, etc. have them.
Microsoft has one on Windows.
Yeah, so exactly. So there's an option there if you need it, which is not always necessary, but it's good to have. It's like loading two antiviruses. Why bother? But yeah, making sure your antivirus is on your computer up to date. Make sure your computers are all patched up to date. Make sure your router firmware is up to date. Check monthly at most. Probably all you have to do because they don't come out that often. Just make sure things are up to date and make sure strong passwords are set. That alone will solve a lot of your problems right there.
And if you do buy a router off Craigslist, reflash that shit.
Or at least factory reset it, yeah.
No, reflash it. Just flat out.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered this one story. One of my coworkers, he was explaining to me that he bought this router. I don't know where it was this router that he's had for a long time. And at one point he moved into his new apartment, he got everything set up, and he factory reset it to make it an access point in his network, because he wanted to have one access point in his room and one access point in the living room. And he factory reset it, and apparently on that that particular model of router, there was a factory reset vulnerability, I guess, or a vulnerability that gets kind of re-enabled, I guess. And his router became part of a Chinese botnet immediately after plugging it back in. It's just so, yeah.
Look, I'm just gonna say this right now: the Chinese are very good at hacking shit. This is to be expected.
Yeah, it's really fun. They're really good at that. Which kudos and kind of I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to think of right now.
Oh, Discord. Discord. How the hell do I get to Discord? Someone post the link in the Discord for Curious Reptile.
Oh yeah. I'll get on that real quick.
There's only so many fucking social media and connection apps I want to fucking use.
Dude, I really need to tone it down on how many of these I have up, because I have Slack. I have 2 Slack channels for work. I have Discord. I have IRC. I have Twitter. I have like some Facebook stuff. I have WhatsApp groups, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm not like ever alone. It's always getting pinged by something.
So what I'm tempted to do personally is there's a Discord IRC bot, and I'm tempted to just get a cloud instance, run it on a cloud instance. So that way I can go back down to my Discords. That way I can just fucking go on IRC and YOLO it.
And that's why I had to cut out some of the Discords that I'm in. Sorry, Allie. I had to leave yours.
I don't blame you. Mine was kind of dead anyway.
That's actually, it's funny. That's the one app that I won't use for chatting is Slack. I'll spin up a Rocket Chat instance before I'll have your Slack channel and try to move people over to that, just to try to stop that. Because it's some of the Slack bots are really annoying, and it's almost a disease that's spreading. And then the other thing too is I don't understand why companies are using that when it's so easy to do your own chat server. But I digress. I guess that's why what we're making is kind of cool, because we just throw that in our app store. But it's just like IRC, except more vulnerable, and people in different companies can exploit it and view other people's companies, because that has happened before. There's been lots of vulns. I don't know. I've never been sold on Slack. The other app that I shouldn't have is, of course, WeChat. So I probably need to get a second phone just to separate that over, because
I don't know. WeChat's lit.
It's a great app. It's just I don't trust it on my devices. I shouldn't. But it's so easy. You know, Joey Shima, like, you add me on WeChat, hold out your QR code, and then you get added. They're like, wait, you have WeChat? And, well, yo.
Wire, Line, Discord, Slack,
Signal one?
Signal.
Oh yeah, I forgot Signal.
Yeah.
Oh, Signal's just texting. Like, everyone has Signal.
Not everyone has fucking Signal.
Oh, I know, and it's such a pain.
Good have Signal.
Even though this morning I did get pinged on Signal from my ex, and then I was like, "What the fuck?"
Jack, you naughty boy.
No, it's not an ex that I would want anything to. I would want to associate with.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, as far as all the chatting apps, I put a link because there was this Chinese artist that essentially made a song about all the apps. It's very annoying. It should only be listened to for maybe 20 seconds. But you guys got that stuck in my head, so I have to share that.
Yeah, did someone put the link in Discord for Liz?
Which link?
I did put the it's in general chat.
Okay. But I'm like, I don't. Why does he need it there? Because he's got it in the Twitter chat. There's too many. There's too many, man.
Oh god! Right now I'm spamming a friend of mine with the IMI Negev from Girls Frontline.
Okay. Well, all right. So getting past the Weibo stuff, what are we on now?
Sorry, I was watching the thing.
Okay, you know what?
Got like 10 seconds out of that.
The Weeboo stuff is not going away.
I know. All right. So now we get to the what I have deemed before the cast the best representation of Facebook's logo in 2018 so far.
Yes. So, I found this as well. Basically,
This is awesome.
back in 2015, Facebook agreed to cut off third-party access to user data and for friend data and things like that. But they continued to sell it to about 61 other companies, including people like Apple, Microsoft, Spotify, Amazon, Sony, Acer, China-based Huawei, and Alibaba, Samsung, BlackBerry, and even like Nissan.
Whoa.
Like, what the hell? Oh, even like AOL, Nike, UPS, and Hinge.
Wait, they're selling it to Huawei?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
and Alibaba.
Oh god.
Yeah, so yeah, they continued to do that. They got found out based upon the court proceedings going on. So that was a bit of WTF. And apparently, some companies have continuing, which is Apple, Amazon, and Toby, which will extend at least till October of this year.
Wait, Toby is using what?
It's the access to the Facebook data.
I'm kind of shocked Toby is using that. First of all, does everyone know what Toby is?
It's an accessibility app that enables people with ALS to access Facebook.
It's
That's what they say.
So Toby makes they do a lot of like the UX testing gear. So when you're doing any sort of application testing or you want to get eye tracking, they're like the go-to for eye tracking glasses.
I have a 4C from them. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
So for anyone who doesn't know what the Toby 4C is, they have this thing called the Eye Tracker 4C. It's a little bar that goes on your monitor. And what it does is it tracks your head movement and your eyes, and in some games it allows you to control your camera view and allows you to, in UX situations, spot where the eye is going, where the player is looking at, yada, yada, yada. But also it lets you use it for head tracking. So what used to be used with Track IR can now be used with the Toby. So you can use the Toby to look around in game. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, one of the most notable games that's used in right now is Elite Dangerous, which is a very fun game. I've been playing.
Yes, it is. Also, Arma 3 as well.
Yeah, I would assume so with that as well because of the So, my opinion on this: not surprised at all.
Yeah, if you put it on Facebook, assume that the world knows about it.
Yeah.
At bare minimum, assume the CIA and FBI have it because they do.
Yeah, that aside, but that's always been the thing with when I started Facebook. I didn't put anything up there that I was like, if I put this up here, that means it's on their server, even if it is there, or even if I trust them, blah 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 blah. And that's what we saw with this entire breach report. Anything that you put up onto a service or a server can and will be hacked at some point and or sold off.
Just remember, there's no such thing as a cloud. It's all someone else's computer.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all someone else's root.
I talked to a few hardware companies at RSA this year, because there were a few system integrators. And like, hey, if we help sponsor this, could we put moving your data to the cloud is moving your data to someone else's computer? Does this sound at all like a good idea? Just putting that all over the place, because people need to be reminded of that. The dumbest thing I've ever seen, the dumbest billboard there, and it almost made me throw up, was everyone's moving to the cloud, so why isn't your security moving to the cloud?
Oh.
I actually heard from someone, this is a college friend of mine, who So I was talking candidly to him, and he said, "Hey Parker, I know you're into security and stuff." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, so we're wondering, should we move our Active Directory to Azure?" And so of course I give him a very response I shouldn't say there, but it involves letting a horse do things to you that you don't want. And then he reported to his boss and said the exact same thing that I said about things with horses. I'm like, wait, you actually quoted me directly? He said, yes. I said, are you moving the Active Directory to Azure? He said, no. He said, your description of what would happen turned him away from that. I'm like, okay, at least it worked. I'm like, I don't want them to think I'm super unprofessional, but I guess it worked.
Blunt and honest, my friend. Blunt and honest.
I'll send to hang out the exact words that I used later. But
to be very, very real about this, I have found that some of the most effective means of communicating things involve very explicit and profane imagery.
Oh, yes. Essentially, the equivalent was 50 Shades of Equus. Okay.
Now I have a question. You said Active Directory and Azure, right? Now,
yeah, moving your Active Directory to Azure.
I don't know how I would feel about that. What do you think? I have mixed.
No, I tried to say that's a really, really fucking dumb idea, especially if you're processing tons of credit card applications. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That's a worse idea than I had someone really close to me, and he said to me, and I didn't know what to correct about this first. Hey, Parker, could you talk with some of your friends at Baidu? I'm like, why? He said, okay, so we have a big customer potentially in China, and we need to have a do some cloud hosting there. Who do they recommend? I'm like, dude, I don't know what to correct about that first. I'm like, you want to find a colo in China? I'll fly out there with you. I'll set up a rack there. We'll do it manually and throw a security camera on that. Don't do it any other way. And they were wondering why their source code was stolen. I'm like,
there's no point in securing it in China because the Chinese government's already got access to it. So trying to secure it is just an exercise in futility there.
Well,
if it's physical servers, you can at least run init0 fast enough when someone walks up to it. You at least have a chance, and you can embarrass them a little bit. If it's on the Alibaba cloud, you're done. Sorry.
But here's the thing. Okay, for example, why would you put it in the Azure cloud? I mean, not Active Directory, please. Developer stuff, maybe, but Active Directory.
I know. That's why I responded in such a way, because I thought it was a joke. That's why I gave him that kind of response. Now, supposedly there was some feature where, it works with your hosted exchange. You run this company had a data center. And what I realized is a lot of the reasons people like cloud is so when you're growing up, your mother would say, clean your room, right?
Yeah.
What would you do? You push it under the bed and you make a new mess. Everyone
It's true.
Yeah. Guilty.
Right, exactly.
Guilty.
Everyone here is either guilty or lying, right?
I'll go with one, Alex. Guilty.
I will just say that I am as guilty as it gets when it comes to shit like that. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know. But that's the thing is let's make a mess somewhere else. Let's make a new mess. That's what the cloud is. With one click, you can make a mess.
You know what the cloud reminds me of? It reminds me of that Starbucks drink that they had last year called Unicorn Poo.
Oh God.
That's what the cloud
movie version with iRobot. What was the demise of all of the robots turning against them?
Cloud.
They all had to be connected to the internet and connected to Vicky.
Yep.
One point of destruction, that single point is going to get you every time.
And Vicky gave them a hickey when you destroyed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all red. Wait.
Put all your central auth on the cloud, and all of a sudden you lose the internet connection, and everything dies. You can't log into your laptops, can't log into your servers, whether that's on site or in the cloud. Well, fuck,
Exactly.
Okay, now here's something. Now, I can't name the company, but one
Sure
of
you
that
can.
one of my good friends works at. They actually put their authentication piece for their users to authenticate through Active Directory in the cloud using AFS.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Okay.
God, wishing ma.
So I can't name the company, but a friend of mine was working at a company where this was a company that specialized in cloud security, and a VP got in her head it was a good idea to suggest the guy sleep with a person to gain access to their employer. And this is a company that wanted read-write access to people's cloud configs for security.
They wanted to run honeypots.
You know it.
Wow. A literal honeypot.
You know it.
Oh, the state of the world that we live in.
So yeah, I'd heard a story that from someone who won't mention that, but in trade shows in Brazil, you know how here they've kind of gotten rid of the whole booth babe thing. Well, down there they went the opposite way. They have terminology for, okay, you can order someone to stand around your booth, and for an extra price, if you think that guy might buy your product, you could say, hey, go to this guy's hotel room with him. And that's actually a thing down there.
Evie is hilarious.
You actually can order that through the conference, too. The organizers will set that up for you. Not officially, but you can ask them. There's the right terminology.
What show is this?
Oh, no, like tons of trade shows in Brazil. I have a friend of mine who works for a company that does a lot of shows down there, and she does a lot of the planning, and she was telling me about all that stuff. Because I was at one that seemed like people were ordering booth babes. It's just from what I gathered, because all the booths had them, and there was a company doing that. And so I asked her, like, is that true? Because there was something weird going on. And she said, yes, your instincts were right. There is something weird going on. This is the weird thing going on. I'm like, whoa. And she said, yeah, we had to call someone's family once at one of the sponsors of one of our shows because he didn't pay someone that he should have paid and got killed for it.
Oh.
I'm like, oh my God, talk about the most awkward phone call. That's how most Blinky boxes are sold.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I mean, people complain about golf course sales, but there are more shady places where products are sold.
Well, Brazil is all special too. Actually, I had a buddy of mine down in Brazil where he would say they actually charge like insane amounts of tariffs on imported electronics. So the best way to import anything was to know someone at the import office who you could bribe.
Yeah, well, that's a better idea than. Do you ever watch the show Nathan For You?
No.
So he essentially does these crazy business ideas, and there was one episode where he saw there was a tariff on smoke detectors, I think into Brazil. So he tried to rebrand a smoke detector as a musical instrument, as the blues smoke detector. But then the legal advisor said, no, you have to have that use in a song. So he put together a band that used the smoke detector as an instrument. There were lots of cringeworthy laughs to be had.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, somebody tired.
I am. Yes, it is 2:30 in the morning here.
All right, do y'all want to move on to the last item of the day?
Yeah, we could do that.
Would you like me to share the screen, or would you like to share the screen for this one? Alrighty.
You and me running out of time.
Okay, so I linked off to it in the show notes. Ill Will was accepted for a talk at Hope this year. It was on his tool Skip Tracer. However, someone started a stir because his bio has, and he probably has your nudes, because he is one of the best OSN people I know. He can get data on all sorts of people. I'll go ahead and share since I don't see you sharing. So,
oh, sorry. Yeah. Go for it.
To everyone.
Uh-huh.
Raises a hype about that. I went through the HopeCon speaker list today, and I'm pretty grossed out. What is it with millennials and saying grossed? I mean, I say don't spin it or I don't like this. They say gross. Oh, this is gross. It's weird. And it grossed out to see my name next to bio belongs to this one. This is not the kind of hacker culture I want to belong to or build. And I've heard that from a lot of people on various things. And quite frankly, the hacker culture they want, where everybody's hypersensitive about everything, is not the one I want to build.
Well, get out.
Sure and then this person who agrees with them, and based on their haircut alone, I'm probably not going to like this person. It's not actually communicating with Will and saying, okay, people found your bio offensive. Oh, by the way, this Lex person apparently was going to give some talk on censorship. Anyway, Hope tries to tell Will they're rejecting the talk because it's a duplicate of another talk, even though apparently it does have some new material. And let's face it, apparently there was also other duplicate talks because, dude, almost every con nowadays, there's so many fucking cons.
Not to mention his other talk was private and not, I mean, was his other talk even made public in a recording?
HushCon was recorded. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't believe HushCon was recorded.
Well, then you can do it again. You're not repeating it if it's not recorded.
Yeah, it's like private venue versus public venue. Their explanation is pretty bullshit.
Does StockCon get recorded or no?
No, ThoughtCon will never be recorded.
Okay.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yes.
No, at least that's what they say. Will it change? No, but there's something kind of nice of having a no camera rule, and there's a little bit of a coolness factor that I think a lot of people like.
I think it's great.
Yeah. So, which means any recordings are unofficial.
And if someone says, "Hey, you can record this part of my talk," sure. But there's, everyone's being recorded these days. It's kind of nice to have a small expectation of a little bit of privacy somewhere to get a break from that.
This person chimes in about females and some males too. This is a virtue signaling. Matt Blaze is a virtue signaling who totally he's a fucking professor. He still don't understand the Moore's memo. He just is this virtue signaling creep to me.
And wasn't he on the board of people who was approving talks, like Will's talk?
That's what Will posts next. Full disclosure, Matt Blaze is on the same committee. Hope that the paper.
No, I was kind of hoping that Will was going to have his talk go on, and that someone in the because I was planning going to his talk. I was hoping that maybe someone from Antifa would show up, would start calling him a Nazi, and I would shoot a person out. Considering I'm actually Jewish and my grandfather's family died in the Holocaust. So I was hoping to get in that kind of encounter, but apparently, no, not going to be able to shoot out Antifa.
I know it's easy to feel that way, but it's in any situation. It's just violence sucks either way. But I do agree with I do understand your frustration because I was watching some videos of my great grandfather was a colonel in the Army and was over there looking for hospitals because they knew the U.S. knew we would invade, and he needed to make sure that our wounded soldiers could be taken care of, and the people we captured too, because we were trying to do the right thing, and anyone wounded we take care of. And so I saw some home movies of inside Nazi Germany. It was the creepiest shit I'd ever seen, and when people make these kinds of comparisons, it's just kind of horrible because they have no friggin' clue how nuts it was. You were having stores shut down just because of the way people believed, and it's hard to even talk about. They had to endure it, and both my grandmother and him had to keep a straight face because when the Army brought him in, he said, "Well, I got to bring my daughter," and he said, "Great, she'd be good cover to have while you're there on the scouting mission, pre-war." It's from stories I've heard. I've known some other people in there. That's just the Holocaust was everything that they said it was in the books. People make those comparisons. It's horrible because it belittles all the suffering that happened.
Kind of reminds me of slavery.
Oh, it's more than kind of. It's horrible, and it's. I don't want to bring religion into this, but one part in the Torah and the Bible that I think is a great point is, God delivers us from slavery. In the scripture, it says slavery is wrong in any way, shape, or form.
It is.
And to prevent it from happening, you don't want to belittle it in any way, kind of it. And so when you're calling this person a Nazi, and sure, some of those neo-Nazi people are stupid, annoying, and anyone marching with a swastika, they're an asshole. You have your right to march. I have the right not to listen. But comparing people to that stuff is also just as harmful.
It is.
I find it very. I don't know. Well, my last point in this, because I know it's already a rabbit hole. I find it very interesting that none of the public opposition, none of the public groups or people calling each other Nazis or calling other people Nazis are Jewish that I've seen, or Roma. It's none. I've not seen a single one. And I find that more than a little surprising.
I've seen one crazy dude rant at a university who claimed to be Jewish, and he was ranting at somebody who was like some Christian group that I don't know what they were doing. They were opposing abortion or something. But yeah, in general, no, I've mostly seen middle-class white people protesting.
Yep. Middle or upper class.
It's really sad.
Back to Hope. I talked with I talked with someone who knew one of the people who works for Hope, but I'm sure it's not exactly a unique thing here. Will knows far more people than I do for that. And person could not remember a single time when public outrage or opposition or complaints got a talk pulled beforehand on Hope. Now, maybe the person's memory is bad. What?
It's been kind of political, my understanding. I've never been to that one. That's one of the few big cons I've not been to.
Well, Hope.
It's political, to my understanding, as in activism, not political as in let's stop the Republicans or conservatives or progressives or Democrats. But I'm sure that's changed, and I don't know. I fear that's changed in recent years, but I wouldn't know how much.
Shout out to Emmanuel Goldstein.
Yes.
Damn, just looking through this thread, like all the people that I know have commented on this.
What thread are we looking at, by the way?
The thread. I'm just looking at the thread for Lex.text or whatever. The one that you posted in chat. So Liz, it's funny because going through it, it's like, okay, Liz goes off for about 20 tweets, and then I see one of my other friends that's there, and then I see Ricky, and I'm like, who don't I know in this thread?
Yeah, but they
show with your followers and friends first. I mean, show your friends first before it shows everyone else.
Correct. Yeah. But it's just interesting, just going through the entire thing. Other person?
You're kind of cool.
Someone I normally agree with, normally respect, thought that supporting Lexi, his wording was, old hacker culture wasn't very kind to women, and therefore we should support Lexi. And the former part aside, since he didn't really bring anything up and any specifics up for that, I see no point in supporting extremely antisocial behavior. And I don't care who the gender is, this is extremely antisocial. And frankly, I don't know why the only women who should get any kind of a support or to outrage women, the women who are not outraged are ignored.
Huh.
The dynamics of this are just really fucking weird. Because honestly, like Matthew Green mentioned, that he's on the board of people who approve the talks. I have a hard time seeing even him going out, speaking out against a talk if this was explicitly brought to his attention. If Lexi didn't tweet about it. I feel like this is more so more so just supporting the outrage, thinking this will solve the problems, right? This will solve the complaints, right?
Huh.
That's the distinct impression I get from this.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's not going to solve anything. Just going to call it more shit.
I don't know. My feelings of SJWs is you give them a little bit, and they will run wild with it and want more, and they'll want more, and they'll want more, and they'll take more, and the next thing you know, you have to censor what the fuck you say, or you wind up, getting Me Too'd.
Yeah.
On a list somewhere.
Not many. You don't see many people in agriculture or tech getting Me Too'd, probably because of the whole stereotype of virgins.
Yeah.
But there's Applebaum, and there's that Marcus guy. What was his name? The dude that was from, I think, New Zealand.
Hey, everybody.
Don't know who specifically you're referring to.
Okay, Marcus.
Yeah, so I'm outside real quick because I'm cooking hot dogs.
You know Applebaum, right?
Yeah.
You remember Applebaum, right?
Huh?
Apple Farm?
Applebaum.
Oh, Jacob Applebaum. Jacob Applebaum.
What about Jacob Applebaum?
And there was some Marcus guy who got accused of some stuff as well, who's from New Zealand. The funny thing is, he came out as a feminist at some point in time in the past 2 years, so he's obviously killed.
Yeah, I'm not thinking male feminist is a rapist at this point.
I
Double
know
chances
I've
you're
met
a journalist.
Morgan, and I think I've met Applebaum.
Like, there's a former Vox journalist, male feminist, outed as a serial rapist. Recently, he was outed. So I'm thinking, God, again, how many fucking journalists are rapists? This is getting to be ridiculous. Even one is bad, but fucking I've seen over 20 in the past 2 years being outed as a literal rapist.
You know what I've noticed? People who tend to get
themselves
themselves in positions of power like that. So people who try and write about, say, charlatans or sexism or any of that shit, they're doing virtue signaling. They're projecting their worst elements onto other people.
I wouldn't consider someone who I don't know. I think virtue signaling is distinct from someone who
projecting.
Is it distinct from? No, is this distinct from the sheep and wolf's clothing kind of? Wolf and sheep's clothing kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's not really their virtue to begin with. They don't want to.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
I don't know. I just see that as a slightly different dynamic because normal virtue signalers don't really do shit other than tweet. But someone who pretends to be a feminist and in order to be able to rape or beat or choke people within an inch of their life, and hopefully they do that with impunity. Would virtue signaling be the right term for those pieces of shit?
I do not know. Actually, I think you might be right. I don't think that's an accurate term for that. I know I'm not aware of any rapists in the industry at the moment, but I am aware of at least one person going around giving how to spot charlatan talks while being a charlatan himself. We live in interesting times.
I will agree. We do live in very interesting times. I wish we weren't, but my wishes mean nothing here.
That was pretty.
Anyway, could you mute?
Sorry, guys. Good shot. That was pretty.
Can you mute?
Okay, I'll mute.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone else take over.
I think it'd be interesting. I don't know. This is probably just like a very small situation that's already been done on a larger scale, but maybe to have like a spoken conversation with these people, like just a debate type of a thing.
Nah, fuck that. You can't reason with them.
That's true.
You can't. I'm sorry. They're like the fucking Terminators. They can't be reasoned with.
Yeah,
I think
I try.
That's
I tried.
95% of them will refuse to debate. That is one of their hallmarks. It is they treat it like a religion. No offense to Christians, Jews, or any other religious person in here. I'm just saying they treat it as their doctrine. They have no interest in debate. They know it as fact, and anyone else who says otherwise is evil and must be expunged.
Damn it, man.
I tried.
There's a few who do debate, but they're very rare.
I tried reasoning with one for fucking months now. It wasn't getting through her fucking head.
What is she? She was just not trying to hear it, just straight dismissing you.
Yes, it was absolutely dismissive. It was like, what don't you get? She was like, I'm just trying to further the cause for women and people of color. I'm like, I'm a person of fucking color, and it's bullshit.
Oh, Jack.
I'm not laughing at your argument. It's just kind of sorry.
Jack, you said
I'm laughing at the way you presented your argument.
That's what I'm saying. She said, I'm just trying to empower it. Just bullshit.
Bullshit. Empower my ass. You just trying to get more power. You just want all the damn power. Sorry, that was mean. I shouldn't have done that.
No, I mean that's exactly it. Acting like you want to go around screaming the loudest and proclaiming that that's your voice and that you're trying to further the cause for other people when you're really just trying to further yourself.
Uh-oh.
That's one of the things that
I've been pretty pissed off than someone from Fsck that also claimed to be Antifa called me a Nazi. I was pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, I would be too. Like, it's no need to call people names.
I got that Pen for Modern guy. He freaked out about my pinned tweet. He started inferring that I was a Nazi. I'm like, how many Jewish girls do I have to offer to go down on before? Never mind. I get the accusations of sexism because I mock modern day feminists. As modern day feminists are sexist. I don't get the accusations thrown at me of racism. I don't think that's cool.
Wait a minute. How can you?
What he and his ilk don't understand is that that's intentionally incendiary to fuck with people like him.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, like I said, today it just finally reached an impasse where I'm like, look, it's best that we go our separate ways because I might have to publicly attack you and your people.
Aren't they all our people?
No. No. Fuck no. You can't sit there and talk about you're doing the community some good, but yet you're accepting money from a shitlord in order to do that good.
All money ain't good money.
Bullshit. You think she didn't take my fucking money?
Oh, Jack.
So
I mean, you don't see these people who are talking about, hey, we need to cultivate the people that are coming up, but you're accepting money from a shitlord like me, and then the rest of them are fucking radio silent, still talking, but not providing action or providing the means to do so.
Do you know what? So that'd be like perfect example. That'd be like a white supremacist taking money from me to help their cause.
Money is money. That's all they say.
But no, I mean you can't. And that was the thing that pissed me off about this person is the fact that hey, everybody else is sitting on their fucking hands talking about what can we do, but then I'll just drop off because I'll get fucking angry and I'll fucking name the person, bitch.
The saying goes, it is easier to say that you want change than to actually implement it. And this is something that I have been kind of worried about, and the fact that I'll be going back to the States in 2 weeks or so here. I'm actually worried about that because I haven't had to deal with any of this bullshit when I'm over, minus just talking about it on the podcast and seeing stuff on the internet. I haven't had to deal with any of this personally since I've been here, and it's been super nice. Like, no, like I have had none. Okay, there's been a couple of close instances with people from the States, but usually they figured out real quick not to like do anything or say anything to me about it because they knew I would just be I just really don't care. It's like you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
This is why I can't wait to go to London. Because with all this shit going down here, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, the UK is a clusterfuck as well. But it's a different kind of clusterfuck.
Yeah, there's manageable I don't know. And this is something that I'm also kind of worried about because I have to go back to college, and that is like the center of where this thinking happened.
How many colleges is that really happening at, though? I mean, you hear that starting 4 years ago. The people who started that must have been graduated by now.
And
no.
They get employed by the university in the women's center. So any women's center that you see at a university has that kind of mentality.
So,
it fucks me up about modern. I said something about I referred to someone who was trying to get an apology for someone who joked about on an elevator, women's lingerie, please. And she was trying to get an apology from him, and I referred to her because she's a women's studies professor as a social parasite. And he said, that guy referred to a women's studies professor as a social parasite. It takes a lot of effort to think and say something like that. Effort that can be better spent on self-reflection, but I guess it's easier to help people. He's such a self-hating man. Oh, he's revolting. These dudes.
No. He was only talking loud like that. So you go, hey, Shody, I understand your struggle as a woman. Let me just grab your ass for a little bit.
Let me smash. Yeah.
Let me smash.
Last season of South Park was totally on point with that. That's the whole reason why there's male feminists.
Oh my gosh. I had an instant.
Male-like and sickly. It's just
and this is very true, and I actually ran into someone like this. I had an instance where I came across a bunch of information on someone that was hanging around and he was labeled a male feminist, and I ended up finding about over a dozen women on the internet from different sources calling him out by name, saying that that he raped them. So I outed him immediately. And I got a really good story out of it later, but I'll save that for off air.
Yeah.
Margaret Mocrest Guaro. It's like I'll put the name in the chat, but he's I think he's from New Zealand.
Okay, so actually, I know the guy who was involved in exposing him.
Oh, okay.
So what he told me is that he was the one who. So the guy I was talking to told me he was the one who linked the people together who had been assaulted by him.
Uh-huh.
He also told me there is no doubt in his mind this person actually did it. There is a written confession from Morgan. So Morgan is legitimately a rapey fucktard.
Oh, the world we live in is a strange and dangerous place, my friends.
All right, let me look at the chat. Anything that we need to comment on, but yeah, we'll get into a dark place. No one's joined though that's going to be bothered by it, I think, immediately. But we'll do a little off-air chat for some shit, and I think I'm going to stop the cast at this point. What do y'all think?
I agree.
Okay, let's do it.
I think we finished up the notes, so yeah.
We need to get into some stuff.
Dude, smoking and pee hot.
A dark turn there at the end, but I'll catch y'all next week.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Get a piece of apple.
Celebrate your freedom.
That apple pie. Ow.
Happy